say, ain't gonna be right, right? No. Yeah, wow, great to be here. 7th year, time has flown, really has. And we showed some videos last night when we first got here, when we first started, the vision we had for the program, where we wanted it to go, what position we wanted it to be in at this stage of our time here, and things that we've evolved to, and still, as an organization and as, and with our infrastructure, still have a long ways to go and things we have to get to be attainable and stay at the top. But I think that's the key to everything. But it makes you reflect on how far we've come. I mean, the 68 wins and the championships, and the conference championships, the national championships, the draft picks. I mean, very proud of the guys who have played here, not all the times here, but these last 6 years and the things they've evolved and what they brought this program to. During that time, we've, at the time, second most wins in the country during that time. And I've been very successful and got great student athletes, got great kids, great players. They're having success here, they're having success off the field, they're having success in the classroom, having success in the NFL. That's what you want. And that's what we're happy and proud to be a big part of. But saying all that, it means nothing going forward. We're where we want to be. We're putting ourselves in a position to be successful and have a chance to be successful. We have to keep doing the little things that make us successful. But very excited about this team. Very excited about this season coming up. I thought we went through a tremendous spring. Loved the summer. As Vic and our guys said, and even our players, one of the best summers we've had. The coaches always say that every year, but this has been a good summer. Now what we got to do is translate that into the team in which it's evolving into, and to be able to have the success and do the things we got to do and keep the process in place so we can do all the little things that make the big things attainable. And but again, very happy, like the attitude where our guys are right now, the structure in which we have in place. But like I say, with our team, our infrastructure of our team itself, with the Unity Council and the leadership, and a lot of guys are really stepping up, taking on roles, and now I want to see it translate to the field. But we still have a lot of work to do. Still have a lot of questions. People say, "Well, who's starting here?" Well, there ain't no starters in place. Everything's open. You got to evaluate. We have to do a great job in this camp of evaluating and educating, because you got to evaluate your players as you educate your players. Because a combine doesn't win a football game. And we're in a combine world. We worry about how high we jump, how far we, how far we can throw it or whatever. And now we got to play football. You got great athletes, now you got to have football players. And then you got to educate within the situations of football. Third downs, red zone, short yardages, coming off the goal line, 2 minutes before the half, 2 minutes at the end of the game. All, playing on defense, trying to, 4 minutes to run the clock out on offense, trying to get the ball back on defense, or trying to stall, or make them milk clock and not give up big play. I mean, all the things that go on in the situations of football. And that's one of the things that does have me excited, because I hear the conversation when guys and the questions they're asking. I like the questions they're asking. They make a lot of sense. You see a lot of guys that are thinking the game and understanding the game. The football is not just a size and speed game. It's a mental game. It's a psychological game. And more importantly, it's a team game. And I like the dynamics of the things I'm hearing and seeing within our guys. But again, we have to do a great job evaluating in camp, educating in camp, and getting ready for, a great opener and one heck of a schedule. I think we have the toughest schedules there is in the country. Play 2 major Power 5 conference teams from the SEC, opening up and ending. In between, we got a tremendous conference schedule. Play the top 2 teams rated in the other side of the division, Miami and North Carolina. Our great rivals from within our own side of the division. They're always extremely tough. A very tough team in South Florida, which was a great bowl team, and won 7 out of the last 8 after they played us, I believe. And then a 1AA team, Charleston Southern, who went to the quarterfinals and had a great run and doing a great job. And so we played them after a 5-day layoff. So, 5 days right after you play a game, which is extremely tough. Now they have a lot of preparation and how you got to do things. So we have a lot of challenges ahead of us. But saying all that, I'm looking forward to it. I think that's what competitors do. Competitors like challenges. They like things that are up against, make things tough. And so far, I like the demeanor of this team. Hopefully, we'll see when we start the practice field and see what we're going to do. But and we know this. Everybody's going to be shooting at us. Everybody's going to be trying to measure it off of us. We have talent, but what we got to do is develop into a team now that plays with great consistency. And like I say, in the last few years, we've had some tremendous successes. The national championship a couple years ago. The last couple we haven't been there, but been right on the verge. A block kick and a catch here and there with Georgia Tech, and was it Clemson converting 2 3rd and 1s. 4th and 1, no one over route, you're there too. That's how close you are there too. So, you know, very excited about where this team can go, but it's got to go do it. And that's what you got to find. What we got to find out, are we going to fight for those inches? Just 6 or 8 inches from doing it again last year. So, you know, and then finishing off the season the right way, like we didn't do in the bowl game. So, but there's a lot of things we got to do. And, but again, at the same time, I'm looking forward to that challenge, and I think this team is too. So we'll find out. But any questions?
Given who you guys are playing to start the season, you just talked about evaluation. So how does that change your evaluation process and the maturation process of this team?
It doesn't. I mean, who you play. I mean, you can't speed evaluations up. You can't speed a guy's development up. You can't make things go any faster. You have to give what they can do, what's there, and make your evaluations off of that. I mean, if you could hit a button and say, okay, we play this team open up so we can make it that much better, we would do that every year. I mean, there's nothing you can do in that regard. You have to let things and people develop as they develop. So, but we know we got a great challenge coming in. There's no doubt.
Coach, are Sean and Dalvin 100% healthy, ready to start camp?
Yes, they will be.
You talked about some of the questions you received. Would you say that's a kind of a sign of maturity, maybe learning lessons this team went through last year in terms of they understand what's at stake?
I think everybody. I think they. When you walk into Florida State, you understand what's at stake. You understand expectations. You understand pressure. And what you got to learn, and pressure is a chance to be elite, and it's a chance to separate yourself. And you have to embrace that thing. And you don't worry about pressure. And you build the habits, what you do daily, so you don't worry about the pressure and the results. But I think just like the 2013 team, I think one of the things that made it very good that it goes through hard times. What makes everybody who's successful, there's hard lessons in life that you don't want to do again. And I think, you know, it's what you do about them and the situations you put in and how you handle them. So hopefully that those situations are there. And there's a lot. Now, at the same time, see, you can't dwell on, everybody wants to dwell on the negative. What about all the positive? In the day, there were still 13 wins the year before. There were still 10 wins again last year. You take from the positive and you learn from that, just like you do the negative. If you only dwell on the negative, you never grow. Because you know what you do? That's what you work on, and you forget about the things you did well. There's a heck of a lot of things we've done well around here, too. So we'll get better at the things we've done poorly, and keep repeating the things we've done well.
Jimbo, usually you're looking forward. Why do you feel it's important to show that video of kind of how part of the program?
I think history is the greatest teacher. I mean, it goes all the way back. I went all the way back to '87 in the '80s. I mean, history is a great teacher. How you can rise, and how come out of nowhere to make the run in '87, forever. Then had tough times during the 2000s, then fought your way back, then put it up to a championship. And then we haven't quite been to a championship. We've been elite, but fighting, you know, staying in that mold and staying relevant and winning championships. I think history is a tremendous teacher. I think it can teach you valuable lessons. It really does. And it's funny, we always say history always repeats itself in a lot of ways. And all this ball that we, you know, just for instance, you talk about all this ball and all these guys are in this run pass option and quarterback runs. Guess what? That was old single wing football in 1950. When you really go back and look at it, when the quarterbacks ran and did all those things. I mean, it all comes in a cycle. You know what I mean? But I think it's very important to understand the seats that you're sitting in, who sat in them before you, and what you're going to leave to the next group that sits in those seats. And as the incoming classes, your responsibility is to represent yourself as people, as students, and as players, and what that goes through. And we've had as much history as anybody, especially since that time. And you know, I thought it was very important for them to understand that and also learn from it.
Jimbo, you mentioned no position is sealed up, locked up. Are you anxious to see the battle at quarterback, or will there be a battle at quarterback?
Oh, there's going to be a battle everywhere. There'll be a battle. Everybody will be put in situations, offensive lines, defensive line, secondary jobs, linebackers, receivers. I mean, you see that, tight ends, the backs. I mean, it was Dalvin's doing what he does, but those other guys behind him and how much they got to play and the things they've got to do. And these young guys, I'm anxious to see these. You know, every year there's a group of them that jump up and really make a significant difference, and others make a difference. And we're going to need every one of them. So I'm kind of anxious all the way across, but there's going to be battles everywhere. There's no doubt. Competition from within is what makes great teams.
How's Derwin with that foot? Well, Derwin James, how he's with the foot? Will he be able to go?
Really good. I mean, he did. He was on the. They were doing him on grass today, the change of direction stuff, and he was on the Ultra G and putting the weight and changing direction. And according to him right now, he's ready to go. And I think he is. But we're going to make sure it heals the right way, and we'll do some other testing with it just to make sure and ease it back in. But he is healed extremely well. The boot's off. He's back to full. He's running. He'll be running on grass today. He'll change direction and do some of that. So he'll get back in pretty quick. And you know, at the longest, I would imagine holding him out 5, 6, 7 days. You know what I mean, a week at the most. before we got plenty of time, just to make sure it heals good. But I want to see how we run him a little bit if it swells, if it doesn't. But he hasn't had any. He's kind of like Dow. They heal. It's crazy how their bodies heal.
Jimbo, how's Derek Kelly's knee? Will he be full go?
Yeah. Yes, he will. He's good. He's all go. He did all the workouts this summer, everything.
With Derwin a little bit banged up, how's Marquez White kind of picked it up a little bit? And do you hope that he improves from last year going to this year?
Oh yeah. Well, Marquez, they play two different positions, but Marquez has always been a leader in our secondary. Very experienced, but the good thing getting Trey Marshall back in that mix is going to be critical to save people. Forget Trey Marshall's a heck of a football player. Going to do a lot, but Marquez is always a leader. Marquez is Mr. Steady Eddie out there in the field and can do a lot of things. And one heck of a player. We're expecting a good year, but those other safeties going to give him some opportunities. Some of those young guys early in camp, the first couple of days.
No matter who starts at quarterback,
I'm sorry.
No matter who starts at quarterback, it's going to be somebody without a ton of starting experience. But the past last dozen years or so, 10 years, a lot of first-year starters, a lot of guys with limited experience have taken teams to the playoff for the national championship. So why do you think that is, and how that might kind of impact this team?
Because there's a lot of experience around it. I think if you go back and research all of those young guys that have had a lot of experience, that have had a lot of success as young quarterbacks, juniors and seniors, even though they haven't had time, I don't put them in the same boat you put as freshmen. I don't care what you say. And that's totally different. But at the same time, I bet if you'll research, a lot of those guys have a lot of experience around them, where there's not a lot of mistakes made, because a quarterback's main thing, he can learn what to do in the base decision. When quarterbacks and young guys get in trouble is when the guys around them don't execute. And all of a sudden, when you got the ball in your hand, you're like the eraser on a pencil. Whatever happens, the fan base, the media, coaches, what do we all say? Fix it. You got to make it right. If he's throw it away. Why don't you throw it away? Why don't you hit that and get rid of it quicker? Why don't you scramble and run? Well, stand back there and do that when you ain't had a lot of experience. And I think if you'll research that, the thing I'm excited about, the guys, there's a lot of experience around these guys saying that hopefully there won't be a lot of mistakes. And they'll do the things they do, which will allow them to settle in and play with consistency. And then when you gain that confidence as you go, then you gradually are able to fix other people's problems. You know what I'm saying? You're able to do that. But I think that's very critical for anytime you have a new starting quarterback, the amount of experience around him to make that job and that transition much easier. Because the hardest thing for a quarterback is to manage it's not what you do. It's when somebody else does something wrong. But quarterbacks get all the glory and all the blame. So that's part of it.
Jimbo, you mentioned the 2013 team a couple of years ago. As this camp gets ready, I know every team has a different personality and everything, but do you see any similarities between this team and that?
I've seen them in that 13 team and some of the other teams. But I mean, I think I'm going to tell you what, see, we're missing some things here a little bit, and that I need to go back. Teams are very important, but programs have to learn. We go back to the dynasty years. Didn't they have to learn to win a championship? Took them still till 93 from 87. It took them another 6 after that, and how to repeat it and keep it. They were up there in it. But all teams have, because what happens is your program has different issues in it. Just like the 14 team. I think there was a lot of clutter after the 13 season just because of who we were. And those kids had to learn to deal with it. Not that they didn't play hard on the field. And I think that's why you saw there were so many competitors, but their time got divided because of becoming celebrities, of becoming high profile, of becoming every time you move, someone watched you. I'm not talking about bad, just, that goes with winning national championships. And there's a learning curve to adapt to that. And in 15, not having a lot of experience in guys that come in and say, well, they win all the time, and not having entitlement. And saying, because people say, well, man, it's getting tough. Well, somebody will take care of it instead of let me take care of it. You know what I'm saying? I think you all have to, I think not only is this team evolved, I think our program has to go through those changes to understand all the different cycles in which you go through as a program. And if you watch all the great programs, they all go through it. Even now Alabama's won 2 or 3 in a row, but if you remember, they lost 3 right after they won 1. And actually thought that was their best team back in the day. I remember talking to Nick, I think it was 2010, they lost 3 games, and he said that team may have been the best team he had. You know what I'm saying? But after coming off a championship and all the clutter and all the, it's not just the team, it's the culture of the whole program absorbing the things that happen. But saying all that, I think we're getting through some of those things and understanding how to sort through being who we are, what we are, expectations. I think it's another growing part of our program, and I'm anxious to see where we go with this. I really am. I like what I've seen so far.
Jim, when you talk about...
I know that's a long answer for a short question, but...
You talk about eliminating the clutter and everything. What do you think of the extra cameras and the boom mics around? What do you anticipate that's going to be like?
Tell me when we've done something in the last 4 years, there ain't been boom lights, cameras, about everything else. I think it's another growth. That stuff's been everywhere. Yes, we have that stuff all the time. And it's now natural. Like I said, the guy, kids don't even think about it. Our coaches, I asked them, I said, oh, yeah, it bothers us. I mean, because it's kind of what we're evolved and I think ready for that stage of. And I'm proud of the program in which we've built. And I want people to see that, you know, it isn't just about having great players and rolling them on the field, and what these guys actually go through, the amount of work they go through, the dedication, the commitment, the attention to detail, and what kind of great young men they are and great students they are on top of players. And I think it was time for people to see that.
Jimbo, with the quarterbacks, how do you talk that fine line of encouraging them to be flawless but try to make some mistakes so they can learn from them?
I'll tell them don't make mistakes. You gotta play and trust. You gotta trust your own eyes. React. And here's the key. Why are you doing something? Why did you do? If you can't tell me why you did it, when it was right or wrong, you'll never learn and progress. I mean, and good players don't repeat mistakes. When you have that situation again, and then as you watch them, evaluate, if they keep repeating the same mistake, two things. One, we're not teaching it right. Two, he's not getting it, or we need to quit doing it, which is part of it too. But the big thing is, when you're evaluating young players at any level, I don't care what position it is, they can't answer why, then we're all in trouble. And we got to reteach, and they got to relearn. And so even when they make a mistake, if they understand why they made it, then they can fix it. If they make a good play, even guys make plays, and they can't tell you why they did it. We see it as a touchdown, everybody's happy, but if it's the right play for the wrong reason, guys, that's not good ball. You can't win like that. And that only gets you along for so long. It ends up blowing up on you. It's false hope. You know what I'm saying? And everything we do at every position, when we evaluate and ask them, and they do something, why did you do it? They have to tell me why. And they got to understand. Because until they understand, they can never repeat it and they can never fix it. That's going to be the key.
During the summer at the bigger camp, you can see DeAndre and Sean working and talking together and joking around. And do you like the camaraderie between quarterbacks in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good, but again, I mean, you know, they help each other on the team because the team needs it, but they don't have to go sing Kumbaya and hold hands walking off the field either. I mean, that's their business, you know what I mean? But when you're on that field, I mean, you benefit each other, benefit the team, you know what I'm saying? But I think they appreciate good competition. They know we're going to pick the best guy, and I think they enjoy each other. They like each other.
How was DeAndre at being able to tell you when you did something right, why you did it? And
That's why I was encouraged through the spring. That's one of the things that encouraged me in the spring, even with the mistakes, even what he did, why he did it wrong, how he did it wrong, you know what I'm saying? It's really grown, and that's why I feel like he's legitimately in the competition to be the guy, because he understands the whys and the why nots of the game.
Jimbo, going off that, Sean's been part of the quarterback competition.
I'm sorry?
Sean's been part of the quarterback competition before. This is new for DeAndre. I guess what are things you're looking out from him to see how he kind of handles this next month or so?
I mean, you know, I always say how he plays. I'm not, you know, whether he's been in competition or not. I just want to see his consistency, his leadership, his decision making. Because at the end of the day, what's quarterback get down to? Decision making and accuracy. You can put all that other junk up you want. Does he make good decisions? Whether it's a run check, a read on a pass, he can have the greatest arm in creation. Does he hit what the heck he throws at? And you got to figure out what he can hit. Because at the end of the day, that's what it gets down to. And I mean, we talk about leadership and toughness and all that, but if he's making good decisions and hitting what he's throwing at, usually the ball is going down the field, we're doing some good things. You know what I'm saying? And then he's got to have leadership, toughness, competitiveness, and mature, you know, learn, you know, his also ability to, you watch when he makes a mistake. Does one play become 2 bad plays or 3 bad plays, or does it move on? You know what I'm saying? That's one of the things I liked in the spring game. Had a great drive, one throw was a great decision, just threw it a hair short, come back next drive, played right down the field, okay? Made a mistake in 2 minutes before the half, come out second half, played very well. You're going to go through that. I mean, that's part of it, but how you get through it and how those things happen.
Well, Ogden Tate, what kind of summers he had?
Good. He's in good shape. Seemed like he's running good, you know, moving good. I anxious to watch him out there in his route running and just, you know, where he's getting to and what's going on.
Keeping with battles, we look at quarterback with Marcus Lewis and Tavares and that. What have you seen or heard from those two about just kind of what you expect?
They'll compete and go at it. I mean, they're both very competitive, both very talented. So, I mean, I expect them to go out there and battle and, you know, hopefully they'll one up each other every day. That means we're getting better. We'll force us to play both of them.
Let's go. Coach, going back to the Showtime series for just a second. What did you see when you watched Notre Dame's unfold last year that you really?
I didn't watch very much of it. I was too busy in my own. You know what I mean? I really didn't. I mean, I saw a little bit of pieces, been talking to them. I knew what it was about. I've seen those shows. It's all a little bit of some of those clips. I didn't talk to Brian. He was very
What did Brian say specifically about just how it's all?
He thought they did a great job. I mean, the other guys got used to it. It wasn't, a big distraction to them, and they did very well with it. And I just thought it was the right time, the right place for us to do it.
As coaches in meeting rooms and stuff like that, have you kind of taken notice of them, or they kind of been out of your way? Or?
Maybe out of the way. You put Mike. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we get Mike for, cameras. I mean, all the time. It's part of the. If you ain't got nothing to hide, what makes a difference? Ain't trying to hide nothing. I mean, we open book. Come see us.
Given how good you guys were defensively last year, what's the next step in the evolution of your defense with given the guys you have back?
Just consistency, and not worried about last year. Learn from last year, and last year ain't gonna help you. You gotta do it again. That's the thing about ball. When you roll that ball out there, every time you roll it on the field, it's 0-0. What's your competitive? What have you learned? How you were successful last year? Some of the things you made mistakes on, and continue to grow. I mean, you always want to grow. You always want to create more turnovers. You want to be better on third down. You want to be great in the red zone. You don't want to give up runs. You don't want to give up big plays. I mean, that's still the constant. You can look at turnovers and big plays dictate games as much as anything. You got to be able to stop the run, get off the field on third down, be a great red zone goal line team. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it gets down to, and that's where our focus. And that's where it'll be a lot of time on short yardage. There'll be a lot of time in the red zone. There'll be a lot of time in third down. I mean, we've always done that, and trying to create big plays. I mean, that's football today. And then being physical, running that daggone football.
Coach, talk about replacing Roberto and what you've seen from Ricky so far. Is it kind of weird looking at Ricky and noticing any similarities?
No, Ricky's a lot taller. But no, I mean in the spring, a little bit we got in the spring, it was really the way he settled down from the first of spring to the end of spring, and the way he kicked, and you started seeing the talent. I think it was very good for him to come in, and anxious to see how this summer. All the time. Did he get the time a little quicker? The thing he does, he gets the ball up very quickly, which is one of Roberto's strengths. On field goals and things like that. Seemed to be very accurate for the most part in spring. I'm watching, and at the same time watching Logan committing people. It's gonna be fun.
Jimbo,
Dan, you there? Dan?
Fell asleep.
Dan, USA Today?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, ask a question, please.
Jimbo,
yes, sir.
About a year ago, Dalvin had an unusual circumstance with the team picture. I'm just wondering, he's always been a great player, great talent. I'm wondering how much growth you've seen from him personally, emotionally, maybe in the past year.
Dalvin, I lost, but Dalvin's a very quiet guy. Dalvin's usually very steady, very honest. I don't see a lot of change in him as far as his demeanor to work, his demeanor to coaches, his honesty with us, talking with us, communicating with us. What I've seen a lot of growth in, he's more outgoing with his teammates. I think he's having a greater effect on them in everything he does, whether it's them going in classroom stuff, off the field stuff, work ethic in practice, off season. I think he's more vocal and in a much more comfortable role, expressing himself that way. He was always a great leader by example, but I think he's being more outgoing in how he talks and communicates with them, and understanding that that's a huge role for him. That the way they look up to him handling that, I think, is very good. But with coaches from us, we've always had tremendous confidence in him and trust in him, and his relationships with us have been he's always been very open with us.
Thanks, Dan.
Jimbo, Chad and Betty, I guess, posted it. He finally came to terms with the fact that he's deep.
Yeah, that's a shame. I mean,
he thanks you for encouraging him through the process. Just talk about how difficult that's been for him.
I didn't know he did that, but I mean, that was Chad was a great young man. And anytime you see a guy that has talent and wants to play, and you've dreamed your whole life of doing things, and all of a sudden there's something there that's out of your control, and your dream of what you've done your whole life is taken away. I mean, there was a lot of he come and we spent a lot of time individually talking, and me trying to first encourage him to you don't know what's going to happen, and making sure you fight and give every opportunity to do it, but making sure you get your education and understand being a good guy, and you're still making him still a part of Florida State. He was still a part of our team. He was around. He was in meetings. He did all the things he had to do. I mean, what would you do for your own? I've looked at it. People say, why do you do that? If that was one of my two kids, what would I do? At the end of the day, that's how I make 99.9% of my decision. If that was one of my two sons, what would I do and what would I want done by his coach? It's just called common sense or common courtesy, I guess. And it was the way I was raised. I mean, to try to do that. I mean, and try to communicate with him as much. And it's tough. And then sometimes, asking whether some of our sports psychologists are people to talk to them and how to deal with those things. I mean, I've dealt with many of those. Maybe what I've said clicks, maybe it doesn't. Somebody else letting them to communicate with him and spend time with him. Because at the end of the day, they didn't get hurt on purpose. That's one of the things people say. Well, he's hurt. You think players really get hurt on purpose? You think they don't want to play? You think they don't want to? And he's not very dependable. Well, sometimes you break your leg or your shoulder pops out. I mean, that's life, man. That don't make him a bad guy. I mean, he's trying and doing everything he can do. And I know that frustrates me sometimes when I hear people talk about guys. He's always injury prone. Well, maybe he's giving everything he's got. It ain't his fault. I mean, but at the end of the day, it's about being a good person. I mean, and the coach, one of your roles is to make sure those guys are successful. He's got his degree. He graduated, so very happy for him. I'm sad that we don't have him, one, for his dreams, and two, for ours. I think he was a heck of a football player. God, he's talented.
Coach, when John Franklin was here, you used him to duplicate Nick Marshall for the national championship game. Now, ironically, he's in a quarterback battle in Auburn. What do you think he can bring to SEC football and the Tigers?
I don't know. That's up to them. I mean, I love John the best. He was a great guy here. He did a great job for us. But, I mean, whether it's SEC football, ACC football, Big 10 football, Big 12 football, any conference football. I mean, he's a good player and he's a good athlete. So they'll ask him to do the same things we ask him to do. He was very talented. He really was. And I wish him the best. He's a great kid. He's a great kid for us. He was.
With Chad, is there a chance he could have a role like a student assistant or anything like that?
Well, we got to discuss it. If he wants to be involved in that or whatever, yeah, we'd love to have him. We'd love to have him.
How far has Sprinkler come since that move from offense?
Well, we talked yesterday. He told me he weighed 310 or 314, so he's 282, so about 32 pounds. At least he's happy when he sees me. But he gets to eat what he wants. A lot. I mean, really has knowledge. He walked. Matter of fact, where was I see him at? Walked through the offices, or I come down here and do something. Oh, I was in the weight room lifting. He was there lifting those. I was doing my work, and he was in there, man. When he got up here close to me, how much? Man, I remember him. He was lean and running. I mean, he's gotten big, gotten thick, but he can bend. He's athletic. He's long. He's physical, smart. Even though the thing we haven't been able to teach him. Like I say, when those gray areas come up, he kind of always, 9 out of 10 times, he just falls in doing the right thing. And there's a lot to that, you know what I'm saying, when the guys make those moves. And I think he has a really good chance to be a good player for us.
Will he compete primarily at right tackle?
Yeah.
Or both?
Right tackle, probably right first. I mean, because when you put a new guy over there in a new position, you start moving him around. I mean, you say, well, right tackle, right guard, well, you may, but still the little technique things and calls. And we're going to make sure we get one player before we get two.
Jim, last year you waited until 5 days before starting QB. Any time frame for this year?
Like I said before, there ain't no time frame. I don't know. Don't dictate that. Whenever I see one that's ready and one that's taking the lead or whatever, we'll see. You can't speed that process up and you can't slow it down. The process is what it is. I wish there was a magical ball I could set and say. I mean, at any position. You can't say, well, you're going to name this guy. You don't know. I mean, you really don't. You can't make those processes go any faster. You got to let their development happen.
You mentioned a couple times, though, that you liked the questions that were asked by the players to you in the off-season. You liked the maturity, the experience. Does that inform you differently as you come into practice and how quickly you can coach them hard and get on it?
Yeah.
You had people ready to sacrifice.
And installation is what you can do or what you can't do. I mean, it does. It gives you a set of rules or something you can kind of start to apply by and see. But there's no doubt it does. And how ready they are and how advanced in how you coach them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, does it have to be truly the base fundamental, which we all do, but you can get to those other things a lot more quickly. There's no doubt.
When you have this much maturity experience, will the first, at least maybe the first week and a half of practice be different than what you did last year?
No, it won't, because at the end of the day, you still got to get back to those fundamentals. You still got to go back to those fundamentals. And, I give you the greatest example of that, Tom Brady. Brady says right now he's better fundamentally than he ever was when he came into the league. And he's better now than he was 5 years ago. And he's 40 years old because he goes back and does the same things over and over and over and then refines them again. Over and over and over. And his body, what he eats, and that guy may be in better shape now when he came in the league. They talk about he's 40 years old. Maybe played to his mid-40s or like he said or whatever. And I use that for an example in that football at the end of the day is still blocking and tackling. But you know what? It's still fundamentals. How you line up, your split, your alignment, where your hand is, where your eyes are, where your head is. It's still how you tackle, how the alignment, you know, alignment, assignment, technique. If you start getting away from fundamentals, you'll never be successful. You'll never be successful. You got to establish those fundamentals early and make them over and over to, well, like I say, you don't practice until they do it right. You practice until they can't do it wrong. That's where those fundamentals got to come in.
You mentioned a lot last season that one of the strengths of the team leading into the bowl game was the fact that you guys had turned the football over. So how do you balance that versus taking chances down the field, just learning?
Well, you take chances. I mean, we took chances all year. I mean, we got hit. We underthrew some balls. Sean was hurt. Couldn't get the ball out at times. I mean, there was a lot of factors that went into that. So you don't. You just and you tell them to miss in the safe zones and educate them. But you got to take chances. You got to get the ball down. Sometimes, actually, throwing it farther you throw it down the field, the least amount of chances you take. Because it's usually 2-1. It's a one-on-one situation most of the time. Sometimes the farther you throw it.
One more.
Remember, this is the third straight year the player imposed social media ban. Other programs are kind of following suit. Why are you such a fan of this?
It's been fourth year for us. We did. Back 12 or 13, we started. It eliminates clutter. One less thing. You ain't got enough time. There's not enough time in the day to be a student, to do things right off the field, and to play college football. There ain't enough time in the day to go do all that stuff. And if you spend all that hour you're in social media, if you spend that studying your plays, or looking at your playbook, or doing something else, or working on schoolwork, or doing some of that stuff, how much better would you be? And what it's about is making a commitment to something. And to saying, I want to be the best. Because let me tell you something. If these kids have a program, you know what kids can't do today? And people can't do? They can't commit to anything. They're truly not committed. They'll do it, but are you truly committed to it? And learning a kid commitment is going to get him through life, and one of the greatest things he'll learn. And that's a commitment. You giving up, I mean, that's something they want to do as a team. We've always done as a team, and it eliminates the clutter. You ain't got enough time to go answer things for an hour a day. You think to really go through there, and that's what I want people to realize. They think there ain't enough time, folks, to really be a good student, do the amount of studying you do the amount of ball, do the things you got to do, get the amount of rest you need, interact with your friends or your family, and to go do, I mean, there isn't enough time in the day. You can't, if you want to be a great player and a great athlete in college, you can't do the things everybody else does. It doesn't work that way. There ain't enough time in the day. And that's a total, and what do you get out of that anyway? Distraction and clutter. And 90% of it's opinion and argument. And 90% of it's hit just to get a rise or somebody get a hit on something. I ain't understood it. Most people laughing back going to the bank.
All right. Thank you.
Is that it? How do you decide when this is over with?
I thought you had a meeting.
I don't know. Wait, don't get start when I get there. Anybody else got anything?
Was there any kind of injury report?
Yeah, I mean, Torres and Darwin still rehabbing some things. Shanksy, we got to get his leg. He should be back. We're double checking. He had a little stress fracture. He's good. He should be back, but it may be a day. Then Derwin's situation where we bring him back. That's it. Right now. All right. Thank y'all.